So we're talking about partnerships, and I want to tell you this thing about how partnerships work and when they come apart, okay? So, but it starts out not about partnerships, but just bear with me for a minute. I'm going to talk to you about marriage for a minute. And my wife and I were team leaders for many years for this outfit called Presbyterian Marriage Encounter, and we led marriage enrichment weekends for married couples. And in that process, the teaching syllabus, if you will, for Marriage Encounter, there was a lesson about the repeating cycles in a long-term love relationship of any kind, the repeating cycles of romance, disillusionment, and joy. And the way it looks in a marriage is like this. You fall in love with a person, it's at the beginning of the relationship, and it's all wine and roses and romance, and everything is sweetness and light, and you look at this other person and you see no faults in them. You know, they're just perfect in every way, and you just want to be with them forever because you're in love. Now, they may not be the perfect person for you. They may have some flaws, and your friends, in fact, may have noticed a couple and said, well, you know, I don't know about that person. You know, they have this problem or that problem. And you say, I don't care. I'm in love with them. I don't mind their faults. And in fact, if they do have faults, it's okay because I'll change them. Good luck with that project, right? And so in the romance phase, and then you get married, and you have this beautiful honeymoon, and then you move into your first little apartment that's about the size of that desk over there, you know, 10-foot by 10-foot cell, and you're in there with this other person 7 days a week, 15 hours a day, and after a while, even though you love each other, you start to notice little things about each other, like, you know, this person picks their toes while they're watching TV. You know, or they pick their nose, or they, you know, the laundry hamper's 4 feet away, but they leave their stinky socks on the floor, so I have to pick them up. You know. And we go to bed, they fart under the sheets. You know, and that cute little tick in their voice, or that clever little saying they have that you thought was so cute back when you were dating, now that you've heard it 10,000 times, you think if they say it one more time at the dinner table, you're going to leap across the table and stab them with the steak knife. So you become disillusioned with this other person, and unfortunately, in our instant gratification, fast food type world, now this person is bugging you, and you start to think the grass must be greener somewhere else. There must be a better person for me. This one isn't it. This isn't the right person. I want out. And so 60% of the people in California, when they hit the disillusionment spot, they bail. They divorce. And it's really sad because they never get to see the richest and most beautiful part of this tremendously difficult work called being in a long-term love relationship. Because if you stay, if something in you says, well, I made a promise or I made a vow, even though this person now disgusts me in so many ways, I'm going to stay, you know, picking toes and, you know, stinky socks and all, I'm staying. If you stay for a while, very often you come to this moment where you have this profound epiphany moment and you say, oh my God, this person now knows most or all of the worst things about me. They know I pick my nose, you know, and secretly wipe it on the tablecloth. And, you know, they know I drop my stinky socks on the floor. They know I fart under the sheets. And yet they're still here. And they still love me in spite of all of that. And I know they still love me because I still love them in spite of all the stuff I know about them now. Oh my God, I could be in a love relationship with this person and I could actually just be myself and they'll love me just the way I am. Oh my gosh, now I love them more than I ever did before. And you have this epiphany moment and you go through this sense of profound joy. And from there you go back to all wine and roses and romance. And then one night they're farting under the sheets again. And it just becomes a continuing cycle of romance, disillusionment, and joy. And only every time you go through the circle, it's a little bit sweeter and richer and more profound than it was before. And if you're really blessed and you make it through 47 years of it, the heaven and the hell, like my wife and I have done, it's so sweet, it's beyond description. But that's what happens in a marriage. What happens in a partnership? Why am I talking about it? The same kind of thing. You first meet your partner and you say, man, you got all the skills I don't have. You know, you're going to do all the tech part of this project, I'll do all the marketing part, and together we're unstoppable. You know, we're going to be best friends forever, we're going to get rich forever, and we don't need no stinking partnership agreement. All we need is a handshake, right? And so we go into business together. We don't do a written partnership agreement. We don't do a buy-sell agreement. We have a handshake. We didn't spend a lot of money on lawyers. And we buy our first office building or manufacturing building. It's about the size of that desk there. And we're in there 5 or 6 or 7 days a week, 15 hours a day. And we start to notice little stuff about each other. We start to drive each other crazy. And then we start to bicker and argue over little stuff like, well, I'm here 15 hours a day and you're only here 13 hours a day. Why aren't you holding up your end of the deal? And the original idea for our brilliant business that's now making a lot of money was my idea. I should be getting the lion's share of the money. Interestingly enough, partnerships are just as much danger, if not more danger, when the business is booming than when the business is failing. When the business is going south, it's easy to see how a partnership comes apart because it's tempting to say, well, if only you hadn't made that decision, we wouldn't be going broke. And, well, if you hadn't done this, well, that's easy to see. But what's mystifying is when the money's coming in like gangbusters, they're just as often they blow apart then. And then you see people in my law office, partners in a business, saying the most unbelievably irrational stuff you've ever heard in your life. Because a guy comes in your office and he says, yeah, we did $8 million in sales last year, but I don't care if we have to blow the whole thing up. I can't stand to be in the same office with that guy for another moment. We got to split up the partnership. And some days as a lawyer, you feel like diving across the desk and slapping the guy in the face and say, you did $8 million in sales last year and you want to blow the whole business up just because you can't get along with your partner? Get couples counseling or something. But that happens. And that's why you need a good written partnership agreement that details how many hours is each guy going to work? How much money is each guy going to put in? What happens if we need more money? Who's putting that in? Are you going to operate here work full-time on the business, or are you going to have another business job you're going to keep at the same time? We agree to all that stuff in writing before we start the venture, and then when we have a big argument about it, I say, well, don't you remember we talked about that and we wrote it down and you said it was okay that I keep the other job because I need to have some income to support my family while we get this thing going. You go, oh, I'm sorry, I forgot that. We did agree, okay. And maybe you saved the $8 million deal. The other thing you need is a buy-sell agreement, and we'll talk about that.